So I think I'm just going to get started and we can record this and just upload it afterwards for ease. So welcome. And thank you for joining live. I am super excited. This weekend has been just crazy and this week has just been crazy, and now here presenting to you and really sharing some passions of mine on how we can gain control of anxiety. So I have actually put together a little presentation, one to keep me on track, because I tend to go down rabbit holes a little bit. So I'm just going to open up my page and get this nice and big. Beautiful. We have a few more joining us. Make sure you have a cup of water with you. You're nice and comfortable. If you are doing things in the background, that is totally okay. Having your video off if you need to. It is going to be mostly presentation based. However, I am all about getting involved. There will be some guided practices for you to follow along with at home. And of course, always an opportunity to ask questions and play along. So whether you're watching live or whether you are watching a replay, hello and welcome. My name is Ash. Some of you may know me as Amy. I've recently rebranded to Ash, is as a part of my reclamation of who I am. I used to write Ash as a young child, and it stands for Amy Sullivan Hamilton, as a bit of a backstory. Sullivan being my dad's name, Hamilton being my mum's name. And yeah, it's just time to reclaim all parts of me. So today we're here to discuss how to tame your anxious mind and connect to your genius without meditation. Now, I'm very passionate about us learning ways around, I guess, more traditional ways of stilling the mind, because especially if we've experienced trauma, then meditation actually is just going to instigate more of a trauma response or more of a freeze response. So I'm a mumpreneur with a passion for optimal vitality, for living our best life, and for empowered choosing. So I really want people to know that they have a power to choose their life and their experiences. You're in the right place if you're ready to discover what anxiety is, the power of language, and how we can really utilize language in our life to reframe what anxiety is, how we can reduce it with a really powerful and pleasure-filled daily practice. So our daily practices generally come in the forms of quite structured, and I'm going to use the word yang, which we'll dive into a little bit later on, which is a very masculine way of being. And I'm here to show you the yin of that, the magic that happens when we have the structure, but we're not so attached to the structure that we actually just allow our bodies to guide us rather than a set program or structure or system, such as meditation or yoga. So this is long-term solutions, and it is also a quick fix. You can drop in and use these skills at any time of day, whenever you are experiencing overwhelm, whenever you are experiencing anxiety, whenever you're experiencing a really busy mind and you're just needing some center and clarity. I would love it if you stayed to the very end. At the very end, I do have a really beautiful structure that helps us to connect to our genius. Now, you might call that as your psychic ability, your intuition, source, the divine, whatever language resonates with you. I have a really simple and powerful structure that allows us to connect to that divine and genius. And this becomes really powerful in business and in life. So please stay on till the end. And I also have some special gifts for those who are here watching today or watching the replay. I would love to share with you my embodiment ebook, because embodiment is the missing link to processing our emotions and our overwhelm. I do have a special offer for those of you who are in Perth and who would want to dive a little deeper in the realm of conscious relating. So this is relating to self, relating with nature, and relating with humanity in a really powerful way. And of course, I'm also wanting to share with you the online mentorship program that I offer that runs for 6 months, called The Art of Devotion. And this is really the basis of my magic. This is where my tools come from. And this is what really, really changed my life and my ability to feel safe in my body and express the vast array of emotions that arise and flow through me without being attached to these emotions. So today I'm sharing lessons from this online journey. I'm just trying to get this little speaker guy out of the way. There we go. The Art of Devotion, and I'm not going to speak too much into it now, but basically it is a 6-month mentorship program. It comes with a whole heap of online videos that you get private access to on YouTube, a step-by-step module, I guess, guide, so that you just work your way through in order. You get playbooks, manual, you receive a monthly live Zoom call. So this is what I call a transmission piece, where we come in together and we receive a guided practice, and you receive one-on-one coaching in that. So a little bit about me. I am me. People, often state certain things about me, and look, my answer to them is I am just me. I am fully and wholly Ash, and I am this, and I'm able to be this because I have found a practice that allows me to witness myself and to choose powerfully in any moment. So I'm no longer in a state of reaction, and I am in a powerful state of action. For the majority of the time, I am human. Whatever I do, I'm consciously choosing. So this practice allows me to move and transform energy, which is really what we're about to discover. And this is immediately related to our emotions and our ability to feel safe in our bodies. And we're going to find out why now. So if you're wanting to just see some other things that I have done, I've got a couple of links below, and I have collaborations with beautiful women all over the place. The Dance Your Way to Confidence course, which is a great little introduction into dance movement and the seductress within us. I have a beautiful book that has just been launched called Rising Matriarch, and lots of stuff coming up in this week and next week with regards to that book launch. And you'll see my offerings on my website and YouTube channel. So I want to start by talking about the divine feminine, and whether you're a man or a woman watching this, we all have a core essence, and the divine feminine is our connection to source. So whether your core essence is masculine or feminine, to really have balance in ourselves and in how we relate to the world, we should, well, what I have found and what I've discovered is harnessing and finding the healthy expression of your own core essence. For me, that's feminine. And then harnessing and balancing the polarity of that, which is masculine, and allowing these to weave and flow in our lives. So as I said, the divine feminine, whether you're male or female, is within us all, and we all have the ability to connect to her. And I just want to share a little story about my childhood and why being in a state, and this is going to make sense later, because we're going to talk about being in a state of innocence and being in a childlike state, because it's in this state that we have our deep connection to source and it hasn't actually been filtered yet or switched off. And relating that as to the life that I'm living now as a speaker, author, presenter, and mumpreneur. So as a young girl, I remember having this feeling that I would change the world. And I honestly just felt it in my being. I never wanted to be famous, and it wasn't this movie star famous feeling. It was this knowing that I would be seen and I would have a big impact. I also had a knowing that I would be an author, and I was the little girl that would sit receiving the motivational speakers at school and pretending not to be memorized so that I could be a cool kid and not be excited about these speakers coming to our schools. But I would sit there and receive these motivational speakers and just feel like that was me and feel like that was meant to be my purpose in this world. And as I sit here and share my journey with you today, and I share this journey of how to tame your anxious mind, I am all of these things. And I am so deeply satisfied at the core of my being, no matter the external environment around me. I'm living on my path. I'm living on my purpose. And I have really transformed the relationships with people I care about the most in my life. And this is what I want to share with each and every one of you. And it starts with taming our anxious and monkey mind, because, our mind is so powerful. So I want to quickly read an excerpt from my chapter, and it's again going to give you a little background about me. I know many of you have purchased the book, and if you haven't already, then maybe this will be your little snippet to jump on that bandwagon. So my knowing has always been there. My belief in myself bore a slow death as I transitioned from maiden to motherhood, wilting with each pleasure I gave away, until I found myself so far from anything that resembled who I was, I had no choice but to begin the slow and sacred journey home. I know exactly why it is we don't believe the whispers of our bodies, the inner callings that are here to guide us safely through our passage. I tell myself it is the journey of being human, of living this human experience. I tell myself it is easier than acknowledging the truth, which is we are suppressed, manipulated, and filled with fear for living in our light. For living in our light is living in our pleasure, embracing the fullest expressions of who we are as women, divine goddesses, life givers, nurturers, mystics, healers, witches, medicine women, creators, and guides. The feminine is connection to source, to the divine. Language limits us. So please take my words as my expressions. You too will find yours. Certain experiences, interactions, words, people will create a ripple effect within you, an expansion, a burst of lightness and energy that the more you pay attention to, the louder it will become. An empowered woman emanates rapture, an encapsulating vibration that infiltrates the collective consciousness, empowering those who are lucky enough to receive her radiance. Now, I share this with you because this is the basis of learning to transform anxiety. So often the anxiety that we're feeling is simply overwhelming energy or overwhelming emotions that aren't even necessarily our own, but the collective. So really tuning in and harnessing the power of our body to transmute these energies and understanding the bigger picture on what anxiety is. So how did I get here today speaking to each and every one of you? I sought mentors and coaches, okay? For the first time in my life, I gave myself permission to invest in me. So I really want to congratulate you guys for showing up today and investing in you. Of all the people that received the link to show up live, you guys are the ones that are here now investing in yourself. So really congratulate yourself and build those happy hormones. Be like at home, fist pump. Yeah, like go me, I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm committing to myself, because this is where the ripple starts. For those of you who are watching the replay, congratulate yourself as well. You are showing up. You are investing in yourself. You are taking the time to fill your mind with wisdom from those who have been before you and received the results that you desire. So the particular training that I did, for those who are interested, is I said yes to an amazing mentor called Shane Fozzard. Him and his wife run the Australian Success Academy. I did Australian Success Mastery, both 1 and 2. I did that twice. I even took my daughter back the following year, and it completely transformed her life and my life. And I coached on that event as well, just to deepen my understanding and deepen my ability to teach and implement these tools. I also went on to complete his world-class speaker training so that I could really feel comfortable in sharing my message, his relationship success, and his hypnosis certification. The embodiment training that I did was with Lara Diva from Dancing Euros and Sigourney Bell from Wild Grace and Initiatrix. Sigourney Bell is probably my greatest mentor currently. She is very much around embodiment and combines many, many modalities. Her own modality that she has created is called the feminine frequency formula. And basically, her passion is igniting our wisdoms within and then allowing women to shine and be different in business than men in particular, because men and women are different. So what I learned through this was mindset coaching, human behavior. I learned embodiment and emotional release techniques. And I began to uncover Eastern philosophies around our core essence, the universal core essence of yin and yang, Tantra principles. And the most important take home that I brought from this little 6-month journey of diving deep was, it's not my fault and it is my responsibility. So are you choosing your path forward? So if you are watching live, I'd love you to play along in the chat and let me know if you have experienced anxiety. Let me know what triggers anxiety. Let me know if you are really ready to transform this anxiety. And also if you're ready to discover a really simple strategy to connect to your genius. So today we're going to be following a really simple evidence-based recipe. So I'm going to invite you to start taking notice of the language that I used, okay? Because harnessing our mind requires us to understand how the mind works, human behavior, and the power of language. So just starting to notice the kinds of language that I use through this presentation. So we're going to be looking at, first and foremost, education, because wisdom is power. And in this modern life, we miss out on elders like we used to in tribes and from the original custodians of this earth. They had elders, they had initiations, they would sit around the campfire and learn together and have emotional processing techniques and releases. And it's just not in modern life. So the first and most important step in creating a life that you want is educating yourself and finding those mentors that speak to your soul and learning from them. So we're going to dive really deep into the mind, human behavior, and how we can harness the mind to help with anxiety. Then we're going to dive into the body, and then we're going to dive into energy. So holistic healing to me is all about looking at the 3 bodies that we have as human beings, which is our mental body, our physical body, and then our energetical body. Then we're going to dive into embodiment and what embodiment actually is, and why you need it. I'm going to touch really quickly on elemental alchemy. Elemental alchemy is my special medicine, working with the elements and alchemizing the energies that we feel within us so that we can move from an undesired state to a more desired state, whatever that may be. Then I'm going to encourage you to choose your practice. My words and my practice work for me, and what I aim to educate you on is a range of different tools and modalities that all work in some way, shape, or form. And then what you guys are encouraged to do is to pick what resonates with you and what works for you, and then to find your practice. We're going to finish with connecting to our genius, and that is a really simple strategy and recipe formula that allows you to get into a state of innocence, childlike state, connect to source or divine, your genius, whatever you want to call it, and receive the information and the intuition that you have available to you, but that has been shut down. Specifically, if we live in a Western culture. Cool. So what did I do to transform my life, to transform my anxiety, to transform my relationships? I gained control over my emotions. I tamed my wild, and I allowed her to feel safe. So what is anxiety? Because to begin with, we really need to understand what anxiety is. Now, the physical sensations in the physical body, anxiety would be overwhelming sensations, high energy. Again, play along in the chat if you would like to. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me to keep on board with them. But from my experience, when I was experiencing higher levels of anxiety and they became quite crippling in my life, I would feel nervousness in my belly. They would get to the point where I was feeling very nausea in my belly. That would affect my eating, and I would go for days without eating. The mind would, I'll stay on the body. So yes, overwhelming sensations in the physical body. Our physiological responses start to change, and we start to get a high energy current running through us. So our body is an electrical system. We have neurotransmitters in our mind and in our body, and these send electrical signals through our system. So we are electrical beings or energy beings, and the physical sensations of anxiety can be very debilitating and really affect us. So they are things like nausea in the belly, butterflies in the belly, heart palpitations. You might get sweaty. Your body might go into a full-blown panic attack where you're also having trouble breathing. If we go then to the mind then starts to focus on the physical sensations. And if you've done any sort of mindset training before, then you will know that the body does what the mind sees. We're really quite like a computer program or a robot. So what the mind sees, the body does. So if the mind is then focusing on the feeling of anxiety or the feeling of the nervousness in the belly or the heart palpitations, then this is going to create a feedback loop that increases the anxiety. So the other problem that the mind might do is it may focus on a situation that is either in the past or in the future. So another thing that can happen when we are experiencing anxiety is that our mind starts to, what I call a monkey mind, and we start to play over events that have happened in the past and worry about them and I guess just, focus on them. Or we focus on a situation in the future that we can't actually predict or control. And again, the mind goes into this feedback loop of focusing on the future. And again, just repeating these patterns rather than being in the present, calm and centered. So I would like to take you guys through a little guided practice now. So if you are in the car for whatever reason, then please do not play along with closing your eyes. If you are at home, then I really invite you to take just 2 minutes out of your day as we do a little guided practice. Alrighty, just going to share my audio with you guys. You can start to hear that music coming through on your end. I don't want it to be too loud. I want you to be able to hear my voice over the top. If you are watching live and you can't hear the music or you can't hear my voice, feel free to unmute yourself on video or turn your video on and just let me know. Starting to close your eyes down. Turn your awareness inwards. Now to give yourself the attention that you normally give the outside world. Taking a nice deep breath in and really feeling that life force carried on your breath. Expanding your lungs and really drawing that breath right down to the tip. Exhale, really inviting those shoulders to move away from your ears. Maybe even letting them roll. The invitation is to follow what feels good. Follow what is allowing your body to soften, to release tension. So we're looking to observe the subtle sensations that our body holds. Feeling of the breath as it moves in through the nose. Feeling of your heaviness, the furniture that you are sitting upon or standing upon. Feeling of softening as you intentionally ask your body to relax, as you intentionally seek out where you hold your tension. I invite you to bring your awareness to the music. Can you allow the music to move through you? You may even want to bring your hands to your body And give your shoulders or the back of your neck just a little massage. I really love getting up behind the ears and into my jaw. Mind is observing the body. Mind is listening to what feels good in the body and being guided by the body. It's a still practice. I encourage you to have movement, gentle movement, slow movement. I encourage you to keep coming back to your breath and inviting that breath to move even slower, even deeper. I invite you to use your mind to intentionally ask your body to release with each exhalation. I invite you to sound and sigh. How good does it feel to sigh and release? The reason why we sigh in times of stress or tension or releasing. I invite you to place your hands on your belly and your hands on your heart. Just start to make very small, subtle circles with your hips. Tuning into the sensations between the vertebrae, between the rib cage. The only intention of just witnessing yourself, of giving yourself the attention that you normally give the outside world, and noticing what is alive for you in this moment. Finishing off with nice, smooth breaths. And before you open your eyes and rejoin the world, I really encourage you to open your eyes slowly. Just flicker those eyelids open ever so slightly, allowing just a fraction of light. And then this beautiful softness that you feel, this beautiful presence, being fully here and now in this moment, I really invite you to take this into the rest of your day for as long as you can. If you have a pen with you, then I would love to invite you to just journal really quickly as to how you feel. How do you feel right now in this moment? What is alive for you? If you are on live and you can share, then I would love to see in the comments also. Now, I always talk from my experience because that is the evidence that I collect. But whenever I do that practice, I just feel lighter. I feel lighter. I feel less up here in my neck and in my shoulders, and I feel softer. I feel more expansive. And that practice was only a guided practice for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, if that. So I really invite you to use this evidence on how you feel as to how easy it can be to drop into the physical body. That was a guided embodiment practice, not a meditation. We're not looking to quieten the mind and still the body. In fact, we're looking to do the opposite. So why do we have busy minds? Now, there's many, many reasons on why anxiety is increasing in modern life. And I'm just going to speak into a few of them. But basically, modern life has become so busy with so many external distractions, so many ways to receive instant gratification, so much pressure to be doing all of the time, whether we are doing work and employment and making abundance, whether we are doing parenting, whether we are doing sports, whether we are doing our home life, whether we are doing family commitments. There is always an expectation to be doing. And even if you are in the spiritual world, there are all of these expectations to be spiritual and doing as well. And the reality is that anxiety is massively impacting so many people's lives. It is increasing in our youth tenfold. Our youth are experiencing crippling levels of anxiety and depression. And the results are more and more teen suicides, which just breaks my heart. And my personal belief on why we're experiencing anxiety more and more is because we are uneducated as to the potency of our physical body and the intentions of our mind. And therefore, we are not harnessing our mind and body like we need to transmute this anxiety. Now, anxiety is just an overwhelming sensation in our body, high energy, focusing on high energy that then increases the energy because we're focusing on it. So really, all we need to do is learn how we can, instead of wanting to block and reject the anxiety, actually welcome it in, bring our awareness to it, and then transform and transmute it. So how do we regain control of our emotions? Because our emotions are really what lead to the anxiety a lot of the time. And what we want to do is we want to move from a state of being in reaction or responding to our external events and the environment that we are in automatically, and step over to this place of action or empowered action. And this is where we are choosing in each and any moment what we are doing and how we're going to move forward. So when we are in a state of reaction, we are generally in a state of victimhood. Things happened to me and I don't have any control over it. It is often a state of externally blaming, and we are taking short-term pleasure action, but it's going to result in long-term pain. So a common and really easy example of this is somebody who would like to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. And they know that to have a healthy body and healthy mind, they need to increase their daily activity. They have quite a sedentary lifestyle. So they want to start walking and increasing their movement every day. However, because of unconscious patterns and behaviors that are inground in our mind and in our brain, each and every day, they choose to do the same thing that they have always done, which is easy and which in the moment is comfortable. But it results in long-term pain because they don't get the long-term health of their mind and body that they actually want. Now, if this person were to sit through this presentation and to continue educating themselves, what they would find is if they stepped over to this space of action, where they are choosing each and every moment forward, where they understand they're not responsible for what happened to them. What happened to them wasn't their fault, but they are responsible now for creating a new way forward. And this is a space of short-term pain, but long-term pleasure. And this is because it might be really hard to shift your old patterns and behaviors, or it may seem really hard. With the right education, it's not actually that hard. So it might seem hard in the short term to get up, to go for a walk, to choose healthier food options, to be self-responsible and not blaming externally, but actually taking responsibility here. In the long term, they're going to have deeper amounts of pleasure and satisfaction because they have taken that challenging step. So we want to get over into this space of being in action for as many, many, many hours of the day as we can. So we also want to learn about our mental body and how we can take control of our mental state or our mind, our physical body, and our energy field. And this is how we regain control of our emotions. So step one, we're going to educate ourselves, which you're doing now. And I really, again, want to congratulate and honor you guys for being here. You want to seek coaches, mentors, and guides. You want to invest in you. You want to follow where your body is lighting up, where you are getting those responses in your body that say, yay, this person, or yes, this event, even if it doesn't make logical sense. And you're going to keep taking empowered action, investing in you, because nobody else is going to do that. And how do we get to the top of our game? How do we get to the top of our health, our wellness, our vitality? We spend time here. And 2021, whether you're watching this now or in the future, is the time for investing here. Believe you me. I really love to encourage people to celebrate their wins as well. Celebrate investing in you. Celebrate showing up in this moment. Celebrate and reprogram that part of your brain that releases happy hormones, that releases oxytocin, that releases these endorphins that make you feel good. And how we do that is we shift our state and we celebrate. So really wiggle around, jump up and down, give yourself a high five, do a little fist pump, and booyah, I'm awesome for being here. I'm watching, I'm showing up. Because that is going to encourage you the next time something is on, the next time you may be questioning whether you want to show up or not. Those happy hormones are the programming and the evidence needed to make you show up next time. Through all of this education, you are going to find your basic premise that works for you. And a premise is simply a statement that works, proven by evidence. So like I said, by the end of this, you are going to have many tools and resources And you are going to be able to choose what practice works for you. So we're going to begin by educating ourselves on the mind. Now, the mind, we're going to just, touch base as quickly as we can today. We're going to fly over some simple topics. I am here as a support and a resource for anyone who is watching this. For anybody who has any questions and who wants to dive deeper, please reach out privately, because as I said, this is just a masterclass or a master being class for 1 hour, maybe 1.5. And I want to keep it as quick as I can and value your time. So you're just going to have to trust me on these premises. These are evidence-based statements that I have received from my coaches and mentors, and that come from science. I'm a really science-based person and educator. So where our attention goes, energy flows. So this is the very first thing that we want to remember. Where attention goes, energy flows. We're going to use this later when we talk about using our mind to shift our focus and to shift our state of being. Okay, so later on, I might use the word internal representation or your focus. And this is the picture or the focus that we hold in our mind's eye. We really are like a computer. We are born empty. And then from the first 0 to 7 or 8 years, we are like big sponges. And whether it's inadvertently or directly, we start developing patterns and programs that keep us feeling safe. Because as a child, we are unable to keep ourselves safe in our environment. Okay, so whether our environment is really safe or isn't really safe, it really doesn't matter. But what happens is we receive all of this external information, experiences, and we give meaning to these experiences, and we start to create our core values and our core beliefs based on our experiences, and we are programmed. Now, many of us don't realize this, and it's not until our adult life when we potentially have a midlife crisis, or we're really unsatisfied, or we're asking that age-old question, who even am I, and what am I doing here, and what is the purpose of this human existence, where we start to recognize that, oh, wow, well, maybe it's even you become a parent. And, becoming a parent is really life-changing, because we start to reflect on our own childhood and our own parenting and these sorts of things. So it's not until we are enlightened as to the fact that we are programmed that we can even start to think, okay, well, if this happened and if this is how my mind works, then potentially I am responsible for unprogramming. So the final piece of the mind that I want to leave with you on human behavior is the fact that we have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. Now, our conscious mind is where we think we are in control. He is like the captain of the ship. And our unconscious mind is like the crew of the ship. So we think that we are consciously choosing in most of our life. But the problem is that 95% of our patterns and behaviors come from our unconscious mind. So if consciously we choose that we don't want to be anxious, but then something happens and we are triggered, and unconsciously we go into this response of high energy, overwhelm, feeling anxious, because the crew has mutinied and taken over. So that's the way the mind works, conscious and unconscious. 95% of our patterns and behaviors are unconscious, which is why it's really important to develop a healthy relationship with your unconscious mind. Now, you can do this through meditation. You can do this through guided visualizations, NLP, which stands for neuro-linguistic programming, if you haven't heard of that already. Very, very powerful. Hypnosis and getting to know yourself, the discovery of self. So for those of you who may be watching this who have experienced trauma, and I'm talking trauma that has resulted in physical responses within the body, then what you need to know is that there are potentially chemical imbalances within your system and within your mind. So if you lived in a highly stressful environment as a child or a young adolescent, or even as an adult, then our body goes into this state of fight or flight, and the adrenaline and cortisol chemicals become almost addicted. Well, they do become addicted to the trauma and the drama. So if you have experienced very unsafe environments or abuse or trauma, I'm just going to leave it there. Please look further into how you can help your adrenals and how you can help your hormones to support your healing. Happy hormones are also really important in reprogramming the nervous system. The nervous system is a reason why we experience anxiety. It is the one that switches on the overwhelm, the fight or flight, and that gets triggered in states of seemingly unsafe environments. Now, modern life is actually really safe, okay? So even though 2021 is potentially the unsafest our society has ever been, we are still genuinely pretty safe as beings. So the anxiety isn't a functional response in modern life. It doesn't help us at all. So the hormones that I'm talking about are things like your oxytocin, like your endorphins, the little exercise that I did before of like really getting you to celebrate and fist pump and like jump up and down. Straight away you can see my face is smiling, my state is smiling, I'm feeling really good. So those are ways that you can boost happy hormones in yourself after small achievements. But it's just something that I wanted to mention so that you can dive into it if you think that you want to look into these chemicals and their balance in the body. So education on the mind. Now, this is a very yang structured practice or part of us. So it's a yang energy, okay? The mind, it's very logical. The learning to take control of your mind and mindset is there is a structure, a very solid structure that works. It's very evidence-based. Many people have done it before. It is a recipe that works. You always want to make sure that you are following a structure that works so that you can get the results. I'm going to remind you to be coachable because these things have worked in the past. So if you want results, then you want to be doing what those before you have done. Remember that you can reprogram your mind and your nervous system. You get to choose. Okay, you do get to choose. So stay in that space of choosing empowered action and knowing that it wasn't your fault, but it is your responsibility. So I'm just going to touch on yin and yang language in this presentation. And if you're interested to dive deeper, I have another MasterBEING class next week on diving really a lot deeper into yin and yang energies and how we can really harness them for a really balanced, empowered life. All right, so first of all, I want to talk about ways that we can shift our behavior really easily through using our mind. So you can see down here that we have an external event that comes into our system. And this is almost like our model of reality, okay? This is how we see the world in here. So we get an external event that comes in. Now, you can change one of three things, and that will shift your behavior outwardly. Now, in the beginning, it may only shift it for a small period of time, and you might need to shift something again to create that new feedback loop, to create that new reprogramming. And as you start to gain control of your mind, you can also then implement the embodiment tools that we're going to learn. And that is just going to exaggerate your feeling of calm and feeling of control. Okay, so like I said, just find the recipe that works for you and go from here. So there's three things that we can look at. We have our focus or our internal representation. Remember a little bit earlier, I said that if we are starting to feel anxious about something, our mind generally focuses on that anxiety or focuses on that problem. And then we get a feedback loop that increases the anxiety, increases the sensations in our body, and increases the mind worrying about whatever it is that we're worrying about. So a simple thing that you can do is to direct your focus to a desired result. So if you catch yourself feeling anxious and going down that anxious track, then you can catch your mind and you can be like, oh, what would I prefer to have instead of anxiety? I would like to feel courageous and in control. So you're going to shift your focus, you're going to shift your mind to a situation where you felt courageous and in control. Now you can either create a picture in your mind's eye of an exact time in your life that you felt that. So I wonder now, if you're playing along at home, is there a time in your life where you felt courageous and in control? Anytime. And just allow that picture to build in your mind's eye and see all of the things that you were seeing, all of the people that you were with, the clothes you were wearing. Perhaps you can hear the sounds that were going on in the environment, any smells. So really use your senses to build that picture, to build that knowing in your physical body that you are calm, courageous, and safe. So shifting the focus. You may also choose to shift the focus to something playful and fun. And if you have children, there's a great way that you can do this, because you can just kind of like be really silly with your family or with your partner, and you might put on some music and do a little shimmy dance, or you might pick your kids up and throw them around and blow some raspberries and get into a tickle fight or something. But you can really harness the playfulness that our children bring into our life to shift our focus from being on something that's making us anxious to being in the present moment, here and now, and feeling joy and bliss. So the other thing that we can shift is our state of being. So that was it's kind of linked to shifting our focus, in that you can shift your state. Like, so if I was to be really depressed, I'd be sitting down here. If you're at home and you want to play along, I invite you, like, if you're like bored out of your brain, you're going to be sitting quite lethargically and not interested. And if you're really interested in what I'm having to say and you're like on board with what I'm guiding you through, you're going to be like up. Your body's going to be in a state of receiving, of learning, of motivation. If you see somebody who's depressed or anxious, you know that the body's going to be in this kind of like state of feeling depressed and anxious. Whereas if I put some music on and shake my shoulders and I allow that anxiety to move and I shift my state of being, I do some star jumps, I do a handstand, I get into a tickle fight with my children. If I'm with my partner, I might flash my boobs and be like, meh, and do a little funny thing. Then I've shifted my state of being, and therefore I shift my behavior. And the final one that you see down the bottom here is physiology. So physiology is what happens in our physical body. So it is the overwhelming nervousness that happens in our belly. It is the heart palpitations that happen in our chest. It is the physiology within us. Now, immediately, if you are playing along at home, you would have felt your physiology change as soon as you sat up tall, like you were interested and like you were receiving, which I know you guys are all doing, receiving this anyway, because this information is so interesting and so empowering. So those are three things that you now have that you can choose what one you do to shift your behavior. Something comes in, you don't like it, you want a different behavior, you're being triggered by your children, you're being triggered by whatever, you're feeling anxious, you're worrying about the bills, you're worrying about not building your business, whatever it is. All right, so I'm going to shift my focus to my desired outcome. Success, calm, clarity, the picture in your mind that you want, whether it's an exact picture that you've received before, or whether it's something in the past that you're just really good at being able to visualize. Or I'm going to shift my state. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do some handstands. I'm going to have a tickle fight with my kids. I'm going to flash my partner and have some fun. And then I'm going to come back. And these are going to shift your physiology on the inside. While we're on this page, I just want to talk a little bit about associated versus disassociated. So associated, if you're associated to your anxiety or to your emotions, you're in the movie. You're watching as if you're a part of it. You're attached to the story. You're attached to the emotion. When we become disassociated, we are watching ourselves in the movie. So we're not as attached. We're disassociated from the pain. We're disassociated from the story. Shifting our state, if we're only to do it with our mind, can become quite dysfunctional if we disassociate too often and then we don't come back and revisit the emotions that are alive. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Shifting our state of being, using our mind, where we disassociate from a problem or a challenge or an emotion that we're feeling, can become dysfunctional if we do it too much and we don't come back and associate to that problem or challenge or emotion and allow it to process through our body. And this is the difference between mindset or being a coach and being an embodied coach or an embodied leader or an embodied human. Because if we are only disassociating and using this tool that we've just learned to shift our state and shift our focus, at some point, those emotions are going to stack up and then explode or implode or whatever. So this is why embodiment is really essential. And this is why embodiment is the missing key and why you really want to stay and learn about embodiment. In case I do get the burps, quite often I burp when I'm releasing things and often in channel. And so take note, I just said, stay, embodiment's the missing key. And I'm like starting to burp a lot for no reason. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, body, for allowing that release. Funny little things when you work with me. So the functional way to use this tool, and I'm going to use my parenting as an example, is I am a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm a parent. I'm prepping for this presentation, this big presentation that I have a lot of pride in, and my kids, they don't really care. They create a drama, they create emotion, they create a reaction within me. And an hour before whatever it is that I'm presenting, I am getting a little bit worked up. My energy is getting high. I'm getting frustrated at my children. And I'm starting to go into victim mode or reaction mode. And I need to solidly shift my state and quick. So I disassociate from whatever is going on. I witness myself from outside of myself. I shift my focus to having an amazing presentation, being calm and blah, blah, blah. I shift my focus to being an amazing mom. I use the tools that I need. And now I can do this in an instant now because I've done it a lot. So it's quite easy for me. I come and do the presentation. That's a very healthy disassociation because I needed it in that moment. But what I want to make sure that I do is later on, when I have the time and space, I come back and I revisit that emotion. I embody that emotion that was alive for me. And what that might look like is allowing that emotion to rise within me, the frustration to my children, the frustration within myself, whatever it is. And then I'll process that and then come back to a space of center and calm, where I can then go and communicate effectively with my family, how my needs weren't met, how my boundaries were crossed, or potentially how I didn't meet my children's needs, because there is a reason that they are doing that right before my event. And so that is how we can disassociate healthily and then come back and associate through embodiment. We really don't want to disassociate too much and then not revisit those, because like I said, they tend to stack on top of each other. Okay, looking at our body, 2 seconds. Sorry about that, guys. My doggy just wanted to come in and join me. Looking at our physical body. Now, the physical side of our body, science proves that our physical body needs daily movement and needs vital fuel to feel good. So if you are experiencing anxiety or overwhelm and you would like to take a small but very powerful action towards helping that, then I really encourage you to find daily movement, and I really encourage you to start looking at the fuel you are feeding yourself. Remembering that we are an electrical system, okay? We have neurotransmitters that run in our mind and through our body, and we have an electrical field, electromagnetic field. The reason why we can touch our touch screens and use our phones is not because of pressure, it is because the electromagnetic field creates that connection, which is why when you wear gloves, you can't do it, okay? So if we can understand that our body is an electrical system, that energy flows, you plug in a power point and the energy, the electricity moves from the power meter through the cable and then in charges your laptop or whatever else. Electricity needs to flow, okay? So potentially all we need to do is harness the power of our body, the electrical system of our body, and allow the high energy to move through us, because energy cannot be contained, made, or stopped. It can simply just be transformed. So our body is a vessel. The mind, what the mind sees, the body does. So we're really going to harness the power of visualization and telling our body what to do, the power of language, and really becoming aware of what spells you're casting with your language, okay? So from this point forward, I am not going to use the word anxiety. I do not suffer anxiety anymore. I experience moments of high overwhelm or high energy, and I very quickly get on top of it, transform it, transmute it, and it dissipates, no matter what it is. And at being a mother of 2 teenagers, I can tell you, there are many moments for me to dive into high energy, okay? Or overwhelm. I call it overwhelm, overwhelming sensations. They seem overwhelming in the moment, all right? So recognizing your language and the power of your language. So I'm just going to really quickly touch base on the divinity that you have within you. My online journey, my core project is something that is called the Art of Devotion. And that is because my whole life changed when I found devotion within myself. So these tools and resources and embodiment, they're all going to guide you to finding the devotion within you. When you connect to that devotion, that divinity, there's really no space for worry. There's really no space for anxiety. There's really no space for uncertainty, because we're so connected to ourselves and to source that our certainty comes from within us. Now, certainty is a basic human need. And if you don't have certainty in your life, then you experience a lot of overwhelming sensations. So how do we do this? We do it with an embodiment practice. Now we get to the really good stuff. So energy. Emotions are simply energy in motion. Okay. So anxiety is overwhelm. Sadness is a feeling of kind of heaviness, of density. Rage is a feeling of like really high energy, really powerful and potent energy. So all of our emotions are just different vibrations of energy that we feel in our physical body. Remember that electricity is the basis of us. So I want to touch really quickly into quantum physics here and speak about, again, some releasing, speak about the waveform theory and Einstein's theory that energy and matter are directly related and have a relationship. And this is why we need embodiment. This is why affirmations don't work or take a very long time to have any sort of like landing in the body, because we're missing the embodiment piece. The mind can say something, but unless we're actually feeling it and vibrating at that level, then it's kind of like this cognitive dissonance of the mind. It is that fake it till you make it. And it does take a really long time if you're not bringing it into the body. Okay. So there's some great videos on that. If you want them, please ask. I'm just going to leave it there. This is the basics, the basis for self-healing. This is how you are going to really start to heal your mind, body, and energy field through your intention, through your mind, and through your vibration. This is how you are going to manifest at the drop of a hat. This is how you're going to create your own reality. This is the missing link on affirmations. As I said, you may resonate along with me at home. Like I started with affirmations and I wrote on my mirror, "You are beautiful." Now, if I was being really honest with myself and if I was witnessing my mind, every time I read that affirmation, "You are beautiful," there was a part of my mind that came back saying, "No, you're not." I was like, "What, really?" And I still actually did think I was beautiful at this point, but there was something so deeply ingrained within me that didn't believe that. So what an embodiment practice looks like is actually hearing that, "No, you're not," and then inviting that into yourselves, inviting that into your being. And so I expressed that. I created that, and I, the movements and and I embodied ugly and feeling ugly. And I allowed that to transform to tears and sadness and then back to love. And then it was gone, transformed. That program within me, that cellular core holding of "you are not beautiful, you are not worthy," was shifted and changed because of the embodiment. So I hope that you can see how that makes sense. Alrighty, so I do want to let you know that elemental alchemy is a process that I have created that really harnesses the medicine of all of the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. It is a guided visualization process, NLP, for those of you who may know it. If you have purchased my book as part of the pre-launch sale, then you have access to the elemental alchemy process, and I'm really excited to share that with you. And at the end of this presentation, if it's something that you are interested in, I do have a special offer for you if you have not purchased my book and received that bonus. So elemental alchemy takes about 30 to 35 minutes the first time you do it. The medicine that you receive in there is again, empowering you to use your body as the beautiful vessel it is, to use your mind as the powerful tool that it is, to tap into our world around us, the earth, the water, fire, and air, to support us in transmuting these energies. Because guess what? The energy that we have within us is also outside of us. It is also in the natural world around us. And this is the collective field. And what I'm going to just drop right here is the potentiality that the anxiety, the overwhelm, the sadness, whatever it is that you're feeling as a beautiful, open human being, may not even be yours. All right. Because in fact, it's not yours, because you at your core essence is pure bliss and harmony and balance, and present in this exact moment. So the anxiety, the overwhelm, the emotions that we feel are something external from us. And we just need to harness our vessel for its infinite power and potentiality, and learn to transform it through us instead of holding on to it and getting attached to it. So the medicine of the natural world is a really beautiful medicine, and I really, really encourage you to dive into that. I am also known as the elemental alchemist, because that is how I transform my anxiety, my stress, my sadness, my overwhelm on a daily basis. So we really want to make sure that we are vibrating at a resonance of love over fear. And how we do that is through meeting our fears really honestly and openly and truthfully, inviting them into our body, having a safe container to feel and process them so that we can return to our center and our clarity. An embodiment practice will quieten the mind, bringing your essence back down into your physical body and grounding us home into our being. Being, very good word, very powerful word. When the mind is focused on the breath and the sensations within the body, we allow the sensations within the body to guide us. Moving, breathing, witnessing, expressing, self-soothing, sounding, and thus transforming. Embodiment invites emotions as energy to be moved through and expressed in a discovery of self practice. We're simply discovering self, and it is a practice that becomes easier the more we do it. We create a container, the yang, the system, the structure, the container, for our personal discovery and expression, the yin, expression, emotion, embodiment, receiving. We can then feel safe. So I want to talk about the gateways to embodiment now. The gateways to embodiment are first and foremost our awareness, okay? So awareness that this is a practice, that this is an emotional release technique. In the beginning, the process is going to be very gentle. You're going to want to nurture yourself through this embodiment journey until you gain the skills to really hold yourself in a heavy emotional release technique. And I would recommend that you seek guidance in this, seek somebody who knows how to guide you through that. Because when you welcome overwhelming emotions into the physical body, if you don't have the tools and you haven't got a solid practice of embodiment, then you may reinstigate the trauma, or you may go back into this state of being overwhelmed and not know how to bring yourself out of it. So I do recommend, if you start diving down this path of embodiment, that you do reach out for more support when you get into the deeper practices of embodiment. We're just going to stay fairly light today. So as I said, awareness that this is a practice, awareness that this is a tool that's going to allow you to shift from one state to another state, and transform your energy. Gateways into the body are breath, breathing nice and slow, breathing nice and deep. So when you're in your practice, you want to be really following that breath right the way down to your base, right the way down to your womb. And if you experience heart palpitations or physiological symptoms in your body, then our breath is how we stay calm. Our breath is how we return our nervous system to this state of being calm. And we have physical touch. In the morning practice, you would have experienced me guiding you to massage your shoulders and your neck. Now, this is something that I do in the beginning of every drop-in for myself because I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders and my neck, behind my ears. And so this physical touch is, physical touch is very self-soothing, and learning to physically touch yourself to soothe the nervous system after and during an embodiment process is the best thing that you can ever do for yourself. Now, the touch is going to change depending on what mood you're in, depending on the emotions you're feeling, depending on what you're wanting to achieve out of your session. So just know that, you know, we can have firm squeezing, we can have really gentle tickling. Sometimes I go into a practice and I'm also, you know, maybe potentially squeezing or clawing at myself. But it's in a very aware way, and I'm not actually physically hurting myself. Movement, always starting from the base. So you can't see my base at the moment, but you can see that I'm circulating. Quite often we have a freeze response, particularly when we are in a state of trauma. This often happens to me when I'm in a relationship and I'm having a discussion with my partner about matters of the heart, and I'm feeling unheard, or I'm feeling attacked or misunderstood. And I'll notice that my body wants to freeze and run away, and then my feet will start to tap. And it's literally like I'm running away. And it's such an interesting thing to witness within self, right? And so now what I can do is I can just like gently rock side to side to allow that desire, that nervous response to be moving through me. I often shake my shoulders, movement. Like this is a practice that I do multiple times a day. Just shimmying my shoulders, flicking my fingers, extending my arms. Often when I'm in a session with a client, I will be doing this as well. And so I encourage you to start trying it. If you are feeling like there's just a little bit too much energy, if you're having like a conversation with a family member and they're starting to really push your buttons, because family members do that so well, you're just going to hear my voice, and you're just going to hear my voice encouraging you to just gently roll the shoulders. Take a few nice deep breaths. You know, you might even just like gently rub the neck. Now, your family member's not even going to know what you're doing, okay? And what you're doing is you're transmuting their projections. You're transmuting their energies, their anger, their sadness, their whatever it is that's bringing this reaction within you. And instead of having to like block their influence, block their energy, which just kind of like pushes us out there but expands it, like this whole putting a bubble around us and rejecting everyone's energies, it doesn't work. All right, we've got to invite it in and transmute it, and we do this through embodiment. So that's movement, very, very important. Please don't freeze up. And sound. Not as welcomed as a little bit of movement and flicking the fingers in public. However, who sighs? Yeah, all the time, right? I'm always sighing. My kids actually laugh at me now because I sigh all the time. And I'm like, oh. Well, would you rather me sigh, or would you rather me like rage and scream humanities or profanities at you, I should say? So sounding is also really, really fundamental in transforming energies, in transmuting energies. And, you know, there's many reasons for that, but I'm not going to go into them today. Like I said, you are going to get an embodiment ebook if you reach out privately at the end of this and just shoot me your email so that I have your emails and I can send that through to you. Elemental alchemy. So elemental alchemy was born or birthed after I did a priestess role at Sigourney Bell's. She hosted over in Mullumbimby, she hosted it was almost like a DJ / Wild Grace embodiment teacher training. So it was with the beautiful Rhea Rhythms, who's just amazing. And I was priestessing at the event. Now, it was really enlightening because never before had I understood music in such a way, or never before I'd had this dream and this vision of me hosting musical journeys, ecstatic dance type things, but more silent, introverted, and about transforming energies. But I had this belief that I didn't know music. I certainly didn't know genres. I didn't understand beats or anything about it. And then I went along and I priestessed at this event, and elemental alchemy was born because they showed me that music could be categorized in the elements and how it makes you feel in your body. So elemental alchemy is using the elements around us, using music, using our intention to literally transform whatever it is that we're experiencing and what's alive for us. Like I said, you'll get an opportunity to actually partake in elemental alchemy, the journey, at the end of this presentation. For now, I want to just touch really quickly on some medicine from the elements. Now, if I was to say to you, Earth, what is immediately obvious to you about Earth? Okay. Sustaining, holding, nurturing. She transforms everything back to a state of love. Water, cleansing, soothing. Air can infiltrate and penetrate anything. So it can seek out these tight spaces and these tension-filled spaces. And fire burns, fire ignites. So the ways of the original custodians of this earth have slowly been bled out, massacred with each Aboriginal tribe that was slaughtered by the unhealthy expression of a patriarchal society running on greed and domination. We have forgotten our softness. We have forgotten to dance barefoot on the earth. Our hips have become stiff, holding our stored emotions. We have forgotten the power of our temple. The past few hundred years, we have slowly had our powers taken away, and we are so far from ourselves and our wisdoms. Many of us now willingly hand our power to others without conscious thought. It's another little excerpt from my chapter in Rising Matriarch, reminding us that we have roots. Even in this modern world, we have roots and we need to go back to them. So as part of the yin of your practice, I really encourage you to soften. Again, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Harness the yin within you, the feminine frequency. Ask for help, receive, listen, flow, and move. So as part of your embodiment practice, as you are shimmying and shaking, if you're wanting to receive guidance, if you are wanting to seek further support on how you can personally cope with your challenges, your overwhelm, ask, and then be open to receiving. So the empowered action that we need to choose on a daily basis is, it's not my fault and it is my responsibility. I want to be in a state of action versus reaction. I want to powerfully choose in each and every moment. I want to have a healthy relationship with my crew or my unconscious mind. And when I understand this model of reality down here, an external event, I can shift my internal representation or my focus. I can shift my state of being, and that's going to shift my physiology. So these are where we want to start to immediately gain control of our mind and then transform it in our body when we have time, because we don't always have time to shift our state immediately. Yeah, you know, if like I have a panic attack in the car while I'm driving, yeah, sure, I can shimmy and shake my shoulders and flick, but I can't drop into a full embodied practice. So it's about choosing what practice is right for you in each moment. If I'm in a heated argument with somebody and I catch myself in that heated argument and I want to choose powerfully, there's overwhelm, there's anxiety, there's a lot of tension and charge, and I catch myself there, then I want to really quickly shift my focus and shift my state so that I can regain control of my emotions, my energy, process that, and then come back from a space of clarity. So remember, you want to follow a recipe that works. We have 3 bodies that we want to target: mind, body, and energy. And any one of these 3 will be your recipe that works. Dancing may work for some, shaking may work for another, the mindset may work for another. Tapping into the actual energy and moving it through the body and giving it back to Mama Earth may work for somebody else. Everybody needs to understand the power of language. We no longer experience anxiety. You are not an anxious person. You have moments where you experience high energy or low energy if it's depression, or overwhelming emotions. Shift your input in and you're going to shift your input out. So where is your focus? Where's your internal representation? What is your mind doing? And keep collecting the evidence that works. So keep patting yourself on the back, keep creating those happy hormones, keep rewarding the results that work and reprogramming the nervous system with embodiment. As I said, you want to choose your practice. Okay. So over here, we have the mind, attention, very yang practice. In the middle, we have our body, movement, feminine flow. If you shift your state, you shift your behavior. So you can, dance, put on a great song, do some handstands. You're going to shift your behavior. And then over the final side, we have energy, understanding that emotions are simply energy in motion. And really dropping into a solid embodiment practice to transform and to welcome anything that seems overwhelming. Just a little recap there as well. So I like to use the word resourceful. Am I in a resourceful state or am I not in a resourceful state? And when I am not in a resourceful state, I just want to gently and lovingly remind myself that I can choose to be unresourceful in this moment. And that's okay. Sometimes I'm going to choose to be unresourceful. I'm a human. Or I can choose to be resourceful. And it's up to me. I always have a choice. Okay. If I'm being resourceful, then I'm shifting my state. Then I'm going outside. I'm putting my feet on the earth. I'm implementing the tools that I have learnt to target and manage my own emotions. And I'm being self-responsible. Cool. So as typical Amy style, I wanted to take you guys through a connect to your genius exercise. However, I've just looked at the time and I've already hit my hour-and-a-half mark, which is, I don't really want to go over that. So I'm going to finish off these slides. I'm going to introduce connect to your genius, and then I'm actually going to create another event so that we can come back and we can do the connect to your genius at another time, because I really don't like when things get too long. All righty. When we do connect to your genius in the next Master Being class, then I'm going to take you through a guided embodiment practice where we really tune into the medicine of the elements. And I might even finish it this one. We'll see how we go. The medicine of the elements. And we're going to focus on a heart expanding embodiment practice. So this is going to drop us into being in a childlike state. Remember my story at the beginning. When we're in a childlike state, we are so in tune with our divine purpose. We are so in tune with our life path that we receive all of the information we need to. It's not until we hit our teenage years, our preteen years, that we start to filter that and we start to ignore that obvious answer for us and really just inhibit our own psychic and intuitive abilities. So this childlike state, it is a state of innocence because we don't understand that we're blocking ourselves. We don't not believe, we haven't been told that magic isn't real. So it's very innocent state. It's also a state of being in no sense. So things aren't always logical. When I was a young girl dreaming about changing the world and being an author, that was not logical for me. It certainly wasn't logical for me when I was in the depth of my trauma in a very isolated and controlled relationship. I was like, I still had those thoughts and those feelings, and I used to dream about it constantly. And I used to ignore what was obvious. I used to ignore it and shut it down and tell myself, as if you're not worthy. So this practice that we are going to do to connect to your genius is about observing what is obvious as it comes through, because we all receive information, whether we receive it through seeing, feeling, smelling, knowing, all of the different clairsentient ways of receiving information. We're just going to observe what is obvious. So I want to remind you that this is not meditation. We are not trying to still the mind. In fact, we are harnessing the mind to go on a deep visualization journey. We do not want to sit still in this practice. You are highly encouraged to move and allow energy to flow. And we are not witnessing the self. We are participating in a practice. So the recipe for connecting to your genius, I'm just going to introduce it now because, like I said, I want to finish up fairly quickly and then we're going to come back and do this in another masterclass. We are going to be guided through that little visualization practice to get us into a state of innocence and to open up our heart space. We simply choose to be of service to the highest good. Choose to be of service to the highest good of self. Choose to be of service to the highest good of nature and of humanity. And then whenever we're wanting to receive guidance about or receive information about, we're going to envision that in our mind's eye. So if I'm asking about a particular person or a particular event or a particular situation, then I am going to hold that vision in my mind's eye or in my heart space, whatever comes naturally for you. I'm going to ask to receive guidance on that. And then I'm going to observe what is obvious. So things will start to come through. You might see pictures, you might see colors, you might see shapes, and you're just going to keep observing what is obvious. Now, I can see this, and what is obvious about that is this, and what is obvious to me about that is this. And the more you talk, the more things are going to come through, and this is your genius. This is your connection to source. Awesome. So I hope that you feel really amazing. I know that we didn't finish on the embodied guided practice for Connect to Your Genius. However, we did do a embodied practice at the beginning. I hope you feel empowered. I would really love to know what is alive for you, whether you shoot it in the comments below when I upload it on Facebook, or however you want to reach out to me. What is alive for you? And I would really love to know if you found this Master Being class to be of value. If you did find it to be of value, social proof is so important in giving people permission to say yes and giving people permission to show up for themselves. So I really encourage you to share on social media, to share with your friends, to share with your family, things you have learned. And if I resonate, then share with them this masterclass and future masterclasses so that we can all start to be more empowered in our lives and take back control of our mind and our body and our energy. If anybody does have any questions, as I said, please reach out. There are no such thing as silly questions because you may be helping somebody else. In the world of self-development and the world of getting to know self and getting to know how we function as humans, confusion means that we're going to learn something. Now, often in school and in education systems, confusion or not knowing the answer resulted in you being told that you were wrong and resulted in feelings of shame and comparison and not being good enough. And so something that I'm really passionate about is bringing light and awareness to this point and really reprogramming humanity to really accept confusion and welcome confusion from now on, because it means that we're about to learn something and it means that we're about to have a breakthrough. So if you are confused and you're sitting there going, wow, yeah, there was a lot of really amazing information in there, but I'm slightly confused as to how to implement it, then celebrate. It means you learned something. All right. All it means that you need to do is you need to take the next step. You need to reach out and you need to say, hey, that all made like a lot of sense, but I'm still a little bit confused as to how to implement it. And that's totally, understandable because there's only so much that we can do in an hour and a half. I am going to remind you, however, there are 3 steps to this process of shifting your state from an undesired state to a desired state, because language is powerful and you are not anxious. You are just in an undesired state of being. You're going to harness your mind. You're going to harness your physical body, and you are going to harness the energy that you hold within you. And you're going to do this in any way, shape, or form that works for you. Some of you are going to really resonate with your mind and you're going to shift your focus, and that is going to be all that you need to do. You may just simply shift your focus to going for a walk. I've got one client and his only step in changing his day or his morning was he would wake up and go for a walk, and it changed his whole day because he shifted his focus from worrying about the day, from worrying about the tasks that were or weren't done, to going for a walk, receiving the magic of the natural world, and it's transformed. You might resonate with the body and you might, this is your task. This is what you start doing. Or you might resonate with the energy and you might be somebody that already works quite powerfully with the mind and with the energy field. And you may be able to just tune in, tap into the energy field and already be able to move those and transform those through your energy system. So again, just remembering that we are going to come back and talk about this connecting to your genius. We're actually going to do some gameplay and play with our psychic abilities. So it is really fun. I highly recommend that you join us live for that. I'll let you know when that's going to be. Thank you so much for joining me for this Master Being class. Thank you for purchasing my book. If you did purchase my book, It meant the absolute world to me. It still does mean the absolute world to me. You are supporting me on my journey, raising my family in a way that I choose. And this allows me to show up for them each and every day. And they really need that at the moment. All of our children need that. Look, and all of youth need that. All right. We are so freaking busy. We are so disconnected. We are not listening to ourselves, let alone to our family, our children, our lovers, our parents, our siblings. And so your support really allows me to do that really powerfully. And I know my children will thank you for that. And I certainly am thanking you for that. As I said, I really hope you found value. This is the first time I've ever presented a masterclass with slides. So let me know how I did, please. And let me know how I can improve. I am always looking to improve. I'm always looking to add value to your experience. So please don't be shy in offering that feedback to me. I hope you feel more confident in facing uncomfortable energies or previously undesired states. And I know that you have some really powerful and practical tools that you can implement when you're experiencing these high energies or overwhelms. I do recommend that you start to practice the tools and implement some of the resources before you have a full-blown overwhelming experience, so that they are already ingrained in your body and in your mind and in your system. You don't want to try and do something right in the mix of like a meltdown, okay? You want to have some muscle memory, some body memory, some tools and resources before you get there. For those of you who are wanting to dive a little deeper and who have not invested in the book yet, I do have a special offer for you. For only $55, you can get a hard copy of Rising Matriarch, and you get access to my advanced NLP process, Elemental Alchemy, and that's valued at $220. So I know many of you have already purchased Rising Matriarch through me. You guys already have access to the Elemental Alchemy process, which will be happening, I don't know, maybe once a month for the next 6 months. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to jump into that medicine. But like I said, if you haven't purchased the book through my link, or if you've purchased the book through another author, but you would like to receive Elemental Alchemy, then I recommend purchasing the book for a friend or a mother or a sister, and then you will get access to the Elemental Alchemy process as well. Now that Elemental Alchemy process, when I take clients through that, I charge $180. So it is really, really powerful and a lot of value if you are wanting to jump on our book launch specials. I do also run a 6-month mentorship called The Art of Devotion. Now this runs through the 5 chakra systems, and this runs through the chakra systems, not 5, the chakra systems, and breaks them into and aligns them with the elements and different primordial energies that we have within us. So what that looks like is week 1, we dive into the element of ether. The element of ether is connected to the chakra systems of the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And this is connected to the primordial energy or archetype of the priestess. So this is our first module, and then we move into our second module, which comes down to our heart space, which is the element of air, which is aligned with the maiden archetype or primordial energy. We come down to our solar plexus, which is aligned with fire element, and the real kind of slut archetype. Then we come down to our womb space, which is the element of water. And this is our archetype of the lover. And then we come all the way down to our base chakra, the element of earth, and the archetype or primordial energy of wild woman. So all of those videos and teaching resources will be sent out to you to go through in your own time. Private links to my YouTube where all of the videos and resources are held. As well as all of that information, you get access to 3 one-on-one coaching sessions within a 6-month period. And if you want another package of 3, then that's available. You also get monthly live Zoom connections, which are the essence of the teachings, because embodiment is all about showing up. And oh, sorry, 2 secs. Something's popped up on my computer. Just open that page up again. Here we go. Sorry about that. So yes, the monthly live transmissions are really where the medicine is, because you can go through the journey yourself. But what I previously found was that the women who participated were then not following on with their practice, and they really needed that monthly accountability, that monthly transmission. So that's why I have set the Art of Devotion journey out that way. And of course, you get a whole heap of ebooks and embodiment books, and I'm really passionate about sharing tools and wisdoms with my clients and with my friends and with my family. So there's a whole heap of information there. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please let me know, and we can organize a discovery call. I will leave links to my website and socials below as well, because I know that that's really the easiest way to get in contact these days. So finally, a huge, huge, huge thank you for showing up. For those that did show up live, I really, really appreciate and value your time. I hope that this has been of value to you. Remember to find your practice, to take empowered action, to soften and surrender, and to feel your way home. That is all for me today. If you are on live and you would like to unmute yourself and show your face, if you're still there, I would love to see your face before we disconnect. I know you may also be doing things in the background, so it's totally okay if you can't. And if you are watching this replay, thank you so much for receiving me. Thank you so much for receiving my wisdoms. Thank you so much for investing in you and for uncovering the potency of your being. You are so powerful. Your body is so powerful. Your mind is so powerful. The vibration that flows within you is so powerful. So please, please, please remember that. Hey, beautiful. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions as we come to a close?
No, I'm just trying to, oh, there you are. Hi. I'm all snuggled up. I've got my son here.
Beautiful. I love it.
I was like, oh, make the camera work. Oh, hello.
I'm here.
Wow.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
I would like to watch a replay and I think what I love is actually that everything that you're talking about really resonates with all the stuff that has been on my journey. So it's just nice actually coming into just meeting people that have the awareness of energy and how our bodies are responding and the language around that and why it's important to know the differences. So I just thank you so much for, you know, showing up in my life with so many amazing people recently. It's just been like this the last couple of months. It's like I'm just making connections with such beautiful souls that really not only just have the knowledge but also know it from the soul's depth. And it's just that like resonant, you know, energy of finally connecting with people that get it. So thank you.
My pleasure. It feels really good to connect, doesn't it? It's like we're lonely little beings until all of a sudden we're like, oh, other people feel this way too.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And it's what I like about your content is that it's not just for people that get all of those levels. It's like it starts from the start and leads you through the journey of it as well. So it's nice that you know, it's not just at the like other end of the spectrum, that people that already have the understanding. It's like, it's very inclusive, which I really enjoy as well.
That's awesome. And I'm really glad that you offered that feedback, because I do want to make this really clear, whether you are a male or a female watching this, it is for all of you. Even males have connection to the divine feminine, the divine goddess, the intuition, the psychic abilities, the ability to transform energies. It may look different in the manifestation of a practice. So that is why there are different ways that we can approach the practice. And this is why embodiment is so empowering, because when we get told how to do something, whether it be, you know, you need to do yoga, or you need to do breath work, or you need to do ice baths, or whatever it is, it's still a very structured model. And great if that works for you, but I just really want to make clear how important it is to have that polarity and that balance, where sometimes we're not wanting structure and our body actually is just screaming at us for us to listen to what our body needs. And that's really great that that landed, because I don't want to speak fluff.
Yeah.
There's definitely some fluff in there, because, you know, science is proving that quantum physics is a thing, and that we do have infinite potential. We don't harness our power. So what used to be known as fluff, we are getting some solid evidence as to how we can implement that in our life. But I'm really glad that it landed for you, Shay. I know that you also have access to elemental alchemy. So I'm really looking forward to finally being able to take you through that, because that journey is just so beautiful. And I will be, as I said, sharing another Master Being class on connecting to your genius, just because in typical Amy style, I ran really long and I don't like doing that too much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Big love. And it was great to see your face.
Yeah, you too. We'll speak soon.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.